The desert sun hung low over the base, casting long shadows across the silent flight line. A half-dismantled AH-64 Apache sat like a wounded beast, its once proud blades motionless, its heart, the engine, cold and lifeless. Dozens of engineers surrounded it, their faces marked by frustration and defeat. For days they had tried everything. New parts. New diagnostics. Nothing worked. The commander stood nearby, jaw clenched, knowing that this helicopter wasn't just a machine, it was their mission's last hope. Then, an old pickup truck rolled to a stop at the edge of the hangar. Out stepped a man in faded fatigues, his name patch long gone, his boots worn from wars that most of these young soldiers had only read about. The commander turned toward him. "You're late," he said. The old man smirked. "Engines don't care about time, son. They care about heart." No one knew it yet, but that single man was about to teach an entire base what true mastery, humility, and courage looked like. The base had been on high alert for a week. An upcoming joint operation depended entirely on their last operational Apache. Without it, air cover would be impossible and lives would be lost. Major Ethan Cole, the commander of the maintenance wing, hadn't slept properly in 3 days. Every expert engineer from the unit had been summoned. Even specialists from the manufacturer had been flown in. But no one could find the fault. The engine refused to start. The onboard diagnostics showed nothing but error codes. And every passing hour added to the pressure. "Sir, we've replaced every valve, every sensor," a young technician reported, wiping sweat from his brow. "It still won't turn over." Ethan stared at the lifeless Apache. He'd flown in these birds. He'd seen them save lives and turn battles. But now, it was as if the machine itself had lost its will to fight. When the sun dipped below the horizon that night, Ethan stood alone beside the helicopter. His radio buzzed. "Commander, HQ just called. Operation Desert Falcon is still greenlit. They expect your Apache airborne in 24 hours. Ethan swallowed hard. He looked at the jet-black silhouette of the Apache like a sleeping giant in the dark. Then a voice behind him said, "She's not broken, son. She's just waiting for the right hands." Ethan turned. A tall, weathered figure stepped into the light gray hair under an old flight cap, a patch on his jacket barely visible. W. Harris, Chief Engineer, Ret. Ethan blinked. "Wait. The William Harris? The one from the Helmand crash recovery?" The old man smiled faintly. "I heard you've got a stubborn bird here." Rumor had it Harris could feel what an engine needed, that he could listen to a helicopter and tell what was wrong by the rhythm of its noise. He'd retired years ago after saving an entire squadron's fleet during a warzone crisis. Ethan hesitated. "Sir, we've run every test imaginable." Harris shrugged, walking slowly toward the Apache. "Then you ran the wrong ones." He placed his hand on the cold fuselage, almost reverently. For a moment, he said nothing. Then softly, almost like talking to an old friend, he whispered, "She's scared, someone mishandled her." The engineers nearby exchanged puzzled looks. Harris bent under the body, tapping a few pipes with a wrench, listening to the echo. He motioned for silence. Then he pointed. "This line, the auxiliary fuel pressure regulator, it's got a vibration. Too smooth to trigger the sensors, too strong to let ignition flow. It's not a broken part, it's a misplaced soul." Ethan frowned. "You mean it's misaligned?" "Not just misaligned," Harris replied. "It's hurt." He rolled up his sleeves and got to work, his hands moving like someone who wasn't fixing a machine, but healing it. As the night went on, even the young mechanics began to watch in awe. Harris explained nothing. He just worked, occasionally humming a tune only old soldiers knew, one from the days when engines were mechanical hearts, not computer codes. By dawn, the Apache sat fully reassembled. Harris wiped the grease off his hands and turned to Ethan. "Try her now." The commander hesitated, then climbed into the cockpit and pressed the ignition. For a second, nothing happened. Then a deep, rumbling growl echoed through the hangar. The rotor blades slowly turned. The engine coughed, then roared to life. The entire team erupted in cheers. Ethan jumped out, overwhelmed. "Sir, how did you?" Harris only smiled. "You kids read data." I read heartbeat. But behind that calm grin, his eyes glistened. He knew what the Apache had reminded him of: the men he'd lost, the missions he'd flown, the friends who'd never come home. That morning, the Apache lifted off into the sunrise, its shadow sweeping over the tarmac like a falcon reborn. The operation was back on, and every man on that base felt the pride of watching her soar. But the victory wasn't just mechanical. Something deeper had changed. Ethan found Harris later, sitting outside the hangar, sipping coffee from a dented old mug. "You know," Ethan said quietly, "I don't think it was just skill that fixed that engine." Harris chuckled. "You're right. It wasn't." He set down his mug. "Machines are like people. They remember how they're treated. You can have all the tools in the world, but without respect, nothing works the way it should." Ethan sat beside him. "I don't think I ever understood that." "Most don't," Harris said softly. "That Apache's more than steel. It's built from the hands, sweat, and stories of every soldier who ever trusted it. Treat it like a machine, it'll stay silent. Treat it like a comrade, and it'll fly through hell with you." The young commander looked out across the airfield where the Apache rested, gleaming in the morning sun. He felt something stir: pride, respect, maybe even reverence. A radio crackled in the distance: "Commander, Apache is prepped for flight ops. Ready for your orders." Ethan stood, then turned back to Harris. "Sir, if you ever feel like coming back." The old man smiled, shaking his head. "My flying days are done. But yours are just beginning. Remember what I said: read the heartbeat." As the rotor blades thundered once more, the sound filled the desert air like a living pulse. And as the Apache rose into the bright morning sky, Harris stood silently, one hand raised in salute, not to the machine, but to the spirit it carried. Because sometimes, legends don't need medals or titles. Sometimes, all they need is one more chance to make something live again. Final message. True expertise isn't about knowing every system, it's about understanding the soul that drives it.